And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because, and I'm going to get away with saying it, probably maybe not just the one time tonight, fuck cancer. And part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name as Shujin. Hi. This is going to be a little bit more different a show. This is not going to be a Power of 10 rule episode, but very likely there will be some tender subjects. So please look over the information for the show's topic to make sure that maybe you may not necessarily want to discuss it. Maybe you will. Either way, thanks for being with us. In this case, us being myself, and over there on the left-hand coast, IO Cloud is with me tonight. Hi, hon.
Hi, I blame tech. I blame Brigid.
Well, okay. So, tech is being social, which perfectly fine. Get that. Brigid, however, is, let's say, busy. There are not enough 5-hour energy drinks to keep her rolling right now because of busyness. So, Brigid, just know full well we miss you. We're sorry that you're not here with us right now, and really just want you to be safe. She knows I know.
Which is why I blame her and I blame tech. I don't blame them as in I blame them as in it's their fault. It's still their fault.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. In any case, hi. Good to have you guys with us. If you are, well, deciding that you want to be up this time of the morning or evening or whatever time it is for you when we perform live, you can be over there in the live chat and join us up because, as always, that is the way that it works. And, of course, Stephanie is there keeping tabs of us because, well, thank you.
That's what she does.
Yep. Not going to make any kind of jokes about it because, I mean, you are one of our standouts. And just thank you. We appreciate you. There's stuff that we're going to end up going over, and it's not going to be fun in a lot of different ways. How it could be, it really can't be. So if this one's a little bit more of a downer, we apologize in advance. We're also not anticipating doing 2 hours either. If like I told IO, if we do an hour and a half, that's probably going to be well long enough tonight. So all those times when we were supposed to be doing a 2-hour show and we ended up like an extra 10, yeah, we're making up for it tonight. I'm just warning you now. It's the way that it's going to go.
All I can say is I've been playing this little game and it's got 9 or 10 or 12 other little games as part of it. They're all logic puzzles. And I really, really like the what's it called? Cryptogram?
Sure.
Yeah, it's the cryptogram. And today's from our one and only Holy of Holies, Carrie Fisher.
Space Mom.
Yep, Space Mom. Instant gratification takes too long.
I mean, yeah.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
I just did it. I just solved it, so.
She's something else, man. I'm glad she was able to turn herself around and become who she became because, damn, good on her.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I'm going to get things rolling because, like I said, I do not anticipate us going very long tonight. That's probably just good to move it along, work it from there. Oh, and as an aside, I am going to be going out to an event next week. So I'm not anticipating doing a show next week. I'm not going to discuss ahead of time what it is, but I will just say that there is something that I'm going to be doing. And again, as a reminder, the middle of September, I'm gonna have a week off because I'm gonna be out of town. Probably shouldn't say very much past that, but that's good enough for right now. So get everything rolling, because that's the way that it is. And I need, the headphones that I've got, if you watch during the show, they're wired headphones. Don't at me on this one, okay? And they're plugged into the headphone port on the front of my computer, which is on the floor, which is, unfortunately, it dangles in a spot that gets caught on the chair that I'm sitting on, which is a office swivel chair, and every once in a while it gets in the wrong spot, and I twist just a little bit, just a very little bit of it, and all of a sudden I feel the cord pulling on part of my head. It drives me up a wall, because now I have to fiddle with it in order to get it in the right spot. So now I have to remind myself to put the end of the wire in my left hand so that I don't pull on it the wrong way. It's the little things in life that drive me up a wall. I love this.
Like me.
Yeah, I do like you. You're welcome.
No, I drive you up the wall.
Just a little bit. I'll go ahead and get everything rolling over here. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle is starting here. Birthday. It is my son's birthday. Now, I'm saying today, but of course reminding you that I have not been to sleep yet today. So as far as I'm concerned, the clock may say that it's Sunday, but for me it's still Saturday because I haven't gone to sleep yet. And if that kind of creative timekeeping drives everybody up a wall, blow me. I don't care. It's the way that it works. 23. I want that to kind of settle in for a second. 23 years at this point. And is he doing what I was doing when I was 23? No. Am I expecting that out of him? Of course not. Why? Why would I ever do that? Why has anyone ever done that? Well, when I was your age, who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. What you were doing was all well and good for you, and maybe you got traumatized by it. Maybe you succeeded through it. Maybe you had great things happen. Maybe it decimated you. Doesn't matter. To somebody else's life, yeah, it matters to yours. Cool. But not to somebody else's. Now, there are so many things I'd like to be able to do for my son. I really would like to do so much more than what I can. And it is entirely possible that maybe he can overhear because, yeah, it's just after midnight over here on the east coast of the U.S., but, But I would, more than anything else, just want him to be happy. His birthday is special. He had to remind me how to remember his birthday because my brain's got so many things that are damaged in him. Sometimes I forget. Because there are events that happen on dates that are similar. Instead of the 23rd, there's something that happened on a 22nd. So sometimes I get that confused. Sometimes I forget what day my wife was born on because it's a double number, and sometimes I forget my own street address or the postal code because of stuff that I grew up with, and sometimes I forget my own phone number because sometimes it just reverts in my head to one of 2 phone numbers I had growing up. But it's his birthday. He's legal age for so many different things. Well, he is, at this point, surpassed all of the legal age of for everything at this point. Here in the U.S., you start off at 18 years where you start to get quote-unquote true privileges. Although in some states, 16 is the age of majority, meaning you can be charged for crimes as an adult at that point. So all the things that you thought that you could get away with as a kid, not so much. But then at 18, you're considered an adult. But not really, because you aren't legally allowed to have alcohol until you're 21. But you're allowed to be driving a car, pay your own taxes, have your own job, enlist in the military, and legally kill people, but can't have a alcohol to drink for another couple of years. Fortunately, we don't really have to worry too much about that. Fortunately. At least, it's my expectation. And would I like to be able to do far and away more for his birthdays? Yeah, for almost all of his life so far, we've basically said the calendar week, you do a little bit more. You say yes to a couple of things extra. You take a few more liberties. You have a couple of extra snacks. Just a little something. I'd love to be able to give him so much more. All I can say is that I love him. I wouldn't have it any other way. And no matter what, I do sincerely hope that I've done good. I hope that I've done well. The 2 are 2 different things for anyone that knows anything about English. I love you, kid. Thanks for being you. And thanks for teaching me. With that out of the way, I think we can just jump right over into the scopes and keep it running in here. So, as always, well, maybe not as always, I keep trying. It's time for the horrible scopes. Those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can make it up as you go along and pick whichever one you'd like, randomly or with any kind of compulsion in your own way. And if you want to do it randomly, you can use a D12, and we'd suggest that you get in touch with the nice folks over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia to sell you one. They'll be more than happy to ship it to you after, you send some of the money that you don't necessarily need because they need it a little bit more. Maybe just a little bit. And they can see about shipping it to you if you're here in the U.S. It's about the best I can offer. So go take a look. Go visit them. Say hi. It's Heart of the Game Fredonia. Hail, hail, Fredonia. Home of the Blue Devil. There is, at last notice, a mimic in the window. I do not know how long that's going to be lasting, but I will check in with them when I get the opportunity. Now, last week's scopes, which was nice to have them back again, of course, we were delving into some philosophical questions for you. Now, this week, we're not planning on being so erudite. So, will there be questions? Yes, almost certainly. The bigger question, however, is, if a question doesn't have an answer, is it even a worthwhile question in the first place? I guess we get to try to find that out. Aries, going to start off with a simple question. Are you now, or have you ever been, a member of the human race? Now, the vast majority of you should be able to immediately answer in the affirmative. But there is a very select few of you that will hesitate before answering. So this week, if you felt uncomfortable with the question itself, congratulations. Your high school history teacher would be proud of you. As for the rest of you, do better.
I'm not a part of the human race. I'm part of the human walk.
That works.
Taurus. The common myth is that cats have 9 lives, and we know that it's not actually true. Cats are just natural risk takers and a near Newtonian fluid state of matter. This is true. I have seen it. If you really want to talk about animals that can fall great heights and not take appreciable damage, just look at small insects like ants. So this week, for the last time, spiders are not insects. They're arachnids. Plus, a big enough one will make stepping stones when it moves, but most don't. So the next time you hear nothing, maybe it's just a spider giraffe stalking you. Dun, dun.
Yeah, because you know what sound giraffes make when they talk?
No.
Exactly that. Gemini, remember that ream of paper we bought you last week? Yeah, sorry, it got delayed because apparently Jeff in procurement ordered tractor feed paper instead of loose sheets as a $5 minimum order. So yeah, we're returning those boxes and getting you the correct paper to write out your answer to pie on. So this week, let's all say it together, people. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, and don't open those boxes. We can't return them otherwise.
Come on, Jeff. No, Jeff. Cancer Moonchild. Well, okay, you proved us wrong. We concede. You do know how to cook food well. Your culinary output is kind of marred by the knife skills you still need to hone. So this week, it's not about how expensive your knives are. It's about how well you know how to use them. Just like your acerbic whip. Use them both wisely.
Yeah, as an aside,
And not with Jeff.
yeah, do you know how hard it is to get an appreciably sharp edge to a plastic knife? It's not easy. It's not easy. Leo. Scout. The answer to the question we left for you last time is Scout. And since you need to learn something new, we'll just ask you. Since it's established that a centaur has 2 rib cages, ergo 2 sets of lungs, and an actual horse only breathes through its nostrils, how would a centaur breathe? So this week, there are so many questions about how a centaur's physiology would work. It is best not to think about it, especially if you are a dietitian.
Virgo, once upon a time, Brinsley Schwartz asked, well, what's so funny about peace, love, and that? Yeah, I'm drinking. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? It's a valid question and one that's plagued humanity for a relatively short amount of time. So this week, you thought the song was recorded originally by Elvis Costello? Maybe you need to listen to more Who Recorded It First podcasts. Those are actually very informative.
Yes, they are. Like trying to find out Putting on the Ritz by Taco. Wow, that goes back a long time. No, it doesn't go back to 1975 and Young Frankenstein. It goes far further back. Libra, another musically inspired question, by the way, but very important to ask. Who are you? Some say you are a product of everything and everyone around you, while some suggest you are simply who you are regardless of outside factors. So this week, it's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you. Are you you or what you choose to do? Ultimately, you get to pick.
Okay, I just did a search in my archives. I've got Fred Astaire and Mel Torme and Gene Wilder.
Fred Astaire, 1939, if I remember right. Come on.
I used to do fun sets. Where are we?
We're at the next one.
Scorpio?
That's it.
Ugh, you would sting me with that one. Scorpio. If you learn something only to find out the information was incorrect, should you hold on to the old information or adjust to the new reality? So this week, when you call a dog a good boy, but get told they're female, do you still call them a boy? Some of you need to have a long talk in the mirror with this idea. Aw, good puppy, good puppy, good puppy.
Sagittarius.
I reject your reality and assert my own.
Sagittarius, if you can afford to do something based purely on whimsy, and it would affect no one else, why shouldn't you? Buy that slinky dress and spend some home alone time wearing it. Spend the night in a motel a couple of towns over just so you can hear all the weird sounds. Drink 3 5-hour caffeine drinks, then sleep a weekend away to burn it all off. So this week, who cares if you're looking to wear girl clothes or guy clothes? It's clothes. As long as you don't wear chaps without actual pants under them, who cares? As an aside, by the way, I cannot tell you how many old wedding dresses in the hermetically sealed boxes we get over at the shop that I'm at. Never in my size. I mean, come on, just one. Would it kill somebody to do that?
Sent you my wedding dress, although I've had somebody put some spray paint on it, but I could send you mine.
I don't think that's going to fit me.
It's a 5X.
I still don't think it. Girls 5X is just a little bit different from guys 5X, I'm pretty sure. Plus, I mean, come on, wedding dresses, they're gonna be tight anyway.
No, it wasn't tight. It was from Torrid.
I mean tight as in like tight according to the sizes that they're going to put on them.
No, it was just a white off-white dress from Torrid, and I picked it because it was a white off-white dress from Torrid or Hotbox or whatever, and I wanted something big enough that would fit me, and I wasn't sure what my size was, so we got the 5X for $20. You want it? I can send it to you.
I think about that.
And after that, I gave it to somebody, and they gave it to their friend to do spray paint decorations on it. So it's no longer a wedding dress, but it's still a wedding dress. It's no longer a wedding. Where were we? Capricorn. When 900 years old, you be so good, you will look not. Yoda is right, though. Most people don't look so good after 900 years of age. And worse yet, after 900 years, would you still use linguistic terms that have been out of vogue for the last 200? So this week, do you know how to speak in cursive? Maybe learn how. They'll make people hate you openly instead of behind your back. I think I just spoke in cursive.
Aquarius, if you could have any singular superpower, okay, I have a little sampler bottle of alcohol that the kid had bought so that I could try it out. I put it in the freezer so that I could make it like nice and chilled and cold. I forgot to get it. So I have not had any alcohol to drink tonight. So any problems that I have with speaking are my own. I can't blame it on anything. Take 2. Aquarius, if you could have any singular superpower, what would it be? There's so many to choose from, each with its own pitfalls to be aware of, and some you don't even think about. For instance, invisibility. In reality, you wouldn't be able to see anything. Flight? Cool. Don't fly over 100 kilometers an hour without eye protection. And teleportation, remember, you need to account for where the Earth will be when you reappear. Otherwise, you might explode into a tree or a building. So this week, how about choosing something mundane like instantly understanding any mode of communication at will? You would be the foremost Egyptologist in history.
Pisces, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to teach? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to set a good example to people around you? Did you know it won't cost you one thin dime to do that? Besides, you love all the attention. So this week, who needs a diploma to be a good person? Sure as hell not you. So get out there and be kind to people and animals alike. And while you're at it, how about being good to yourself too? We know you better than you'd like us to. Be good to yourself for a change. And be careful out there. What, did I say something wrong?
No. Just personally called out. Those are your horrible scopes for this week.
You wrote it!
Remember, if you like what you got, I cannot be held responsible for what the stars tell me to write. If you would like to influence them by asking for something nicer or naughtier for yourself or someone else, you can always bribe me by asking, because, freebies that way. If you'd like to legitimately bribe me, you can do that over at the Ko-fi page. It's coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Ko-fi, Discord, BlueSky. Lexa is also said Batman makes a guest appearance for the Horrible Scopes. What a get, solid Batman voice. The funniest part about it is, believe it or not, if I were to practice at it again, I do a killer Mark Hamill Joker. It's been a very long time, but yeah, I'm actually really, I've got a really good one.
Somewhere.
I'm not going to do it right now because I have not done it in a long time, and with the little one upstairs trying to sleep, I don't think that would be so good because kind of have to just kind of go for it. No, I can't. No, if I get, okay. If we get into a pissing match with this and I actually start, I will end up full-throated. Nobody needs that right now in the house. If the house was empty, that would be a different matter. But we're not doing that. It's episode 546 on the docket, Your Honor. Grief Councillors. As I put into the show notes, yeah, there's stuff that's going on. And we have a couple of ground rules that we're going to be following tonight. You, the audience, are not really going to know what those rules are because we're not going to inform you. Just know full well that there's stuff in the background that we're making sure of where otherwise things go that way. For those of you that have been with me long enough, you know full well I lost my wife to a rare form of cancer 20 years ago. Little over. And I am not the same person that I was. Not by a long shot. I know that there are pieces of me that have healed to some degree. There is far and away more patchwork than there is actual rebuild. It is what it is. And I keep doing the best that I can. I unfortunately am on the inside edge of this all. So I have a perspective from where I am. Fill them in on where you are and part of what's going on.
Basically a friend of ours, somebody that my husband has known for about 20 some odd years at least, maybe longer, maybe a little bit less, but about 20 years. He was friends to a husband and wife team, and the wife had end-stage kidney disease. She was on at least 18 hours of dialysis a week, at least. Mind you, that's only about 14 to 15 hours of actual dialysis. The rest of it is getting prepped, and all the other stuff that they would do. She passed away 2 weeks ago, this coming Tuesday. It wasn't unexpected, but it wasn't expected from what I've been hearing from other people that knew her as well. And the husband is just absolutely devastated. And everybody's been going and telling him, God willing, and da-da-da-da-da. At least one of the people that was part of the first aid, EMS, police presence that had to show up at the house, at least one of them said, don't let your grief sink you down to something deep. Do what makes you feel good. And she actually was telling him to do D&D. So he was my GM on Saturdays. And I also gamed with him on Sundays, 1 week in a month. And, well, she's passed, and he's just absolutely grieving, and we've been trying to be there for him. But guess what? Husband got sick. And I'm not about to bring a sick man germs into a house of a grieving widower, even though I want to be there and help clean out the house and help make that house livable for him.
Yeah, that is something that is incredibly responsible, and so many people would not say it. Thank you for being that responsible.
Well, I don't know what he has. He's now on antibiotics, and he just started them today. We'll know in a couple days if they're actually working.
Yeah, something that takes
the poor man has been miserable.
Yeah. Now, as someone who has been on the inside edge of this level of grief, I want to preface everything by saying, right off the bat, if you are wondering what it's like to have been in the position of people like me, like us, who have lost people after a prolonged illness, don't. I'm going to tell you right now, just don't. And I've said this for many a year. Don't try to imagine it. Until and unless you have to deal with this kind of thing, just don't. Not because the reality is far and away worse than the reality, but if you could even come close to understanding, you don't want to. So, with that in mind, there are things that end up happening for folks, and of course, everyone is different for how they deal with their own grief, because this is about as devastating as it gets. We lose pets. We understand that, and that is difficult, to put it mildly. They are family. There is a difference in how we deal with that kind of grief because, well, reasons. Them being a different species and not being able to communicate verbally the way that we do. Societally, sociologically, it's different. But when we're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis that we communicate ourselves to, the people that we love in those kinds of situations are the ones that can hurt us the most, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And when it's something like this, the grief, the pain, the hurt it is immeasurable, because these are people who we have allowed, invited even, inside and well beyond any safety circles that we ever had for ourselves. So if the expression shell shock means anything, yeah, that's what a lot of these folks are going to be like. Now, I'm using that expression very specifically, and I'm going to have you chiming in on this in just a second. Shell shock was a term that was used for originally for people who came back from military operations, if memory serves, as far back as World War I. So, over 100 years ago now. And it was kind of for the people who, I won't say were catatonic, but the ones who became what we would now qualify as robotic, just working on autopilot with very little higher brain function, shall we say, higher cognitive functions going on, that they find a routine and they just follow the routine because they need to do something. And from what you were telling me before about this doesn't sound very far off from where he's at right now, yeah?
Yeah, he's at the trying to find the threads of his life and reweaving them. And I use that with one of the people of our herd because they were hurting earlier this week. And somewhere I actually mentioned it, and he said, "Yeah, that makes sense." Yeah, every time you ask for help, we know you're reaching for threads to help you reweave your life. Keep asking. And the amount of times I've had to restart, reweave, rediscover, recreate, ugh.
It's tough.
Yeah, I have not lost a spouse. I came very close to it twice. Yes, divorce is similar, but it's not the person's gone forever. The person's still there, just over there, somewhere.
And to keep it into perspective also, with separations, divorces, a no longer commingling of lifetimes, that one is very different because for at least one, there is a want, a desire for the dissolution of the relationship. So pulling it apart slowly by comparison.
It might not be something that's pulled apart slowly or willingly, but out of safety. Or out of whatever reasons. And it's still a type of ending, and it's still a type of mourning, and it's still a type of death, and you have to reweave. It's not a finality. What you went through, what my husband's gone through twice, what my friend just went through, that finality, that knowing that the bed's always going to be empty, that warmth is not there. Yeah, I had that too with my separation, but I realized that I could continue on and they were still alive and there was still a chance that we could fix this. Not that that happened, but there was still a chance. Um, I had somebody in the last couple weeks on Second Life send me a message saying, I'm being tested for melanoma. What do I do? Grasping at straws. And I said to them, do you want me to do what other people do, which is give you the platitudes, or do you want me to tell you the truth? I would rather tell you the truth, even if it's hard for you to hear. I've got the email I sent to them. I'm not like other people that will say, yes, you will be, because I can't predict that. I can say that you will get through it, you will get through the testing, you will get through the diagnosis, and if it is positive, you will get through the treatment no matter what it is. If you're completely alone, I can crochet or knit you a small pocket pal to be your emotional support stuffed animal to carry you through everything so that you will know that there's someone in your corner to help you fight. Hell, I carry one on me because diabetes sucks. I'm diabetic. Especially when there's suddenly a question of it being from pancreatitis, genetic renal disease, or cancer, and how it's affecting my heart and causing atrial fibrillation at random times. I had a bunch with me when I was in the hospital. That and the I will get through this attitude was what got me home. The diagnosis of sepsis with pneumonia scared the shit out of me. And although I had my husband, I was also alone. He didn't spend the nights in the hospital with me, even though I did with him and would do it again. Melanoma is fucking scary. Hell, any sudden disease diagnosis is fucking scary. You are probably terrified that this is the worst diagnosis possible. I hope it's something that can be scooped out during biopsy and completely gone. I've had multiple suspicious moles removed from my body over the years. The first were not by my consent, but my parents. I've been there. You're scared. You're trying to breathe because the weight of the world feels like it's crushing down on your chest. Your anxiety levels are through the roof because what if? What if? What if? You will get through this. Will you be okay? I don't know because I don't know what is okay for you. I know what it is for me, and right now, I'm not okay. Eczema has turned my fingers into Velcro, and my feet look like something out of V when the visitors pulled their skin off. Except palm color, not screen, but that's beside the point. You get to decide if you're okay. You get to decide if you want people around you. You get to decide if you want to ask a friend to knit or crochet you a chemo hat. You get to decide if you have chemo in the first place. You get to decide all of that, including if you are going to be okay. Even that means that what was okay a day ago is no longer you're okay. You get to decide all this. Why? Because you are strong. You've asked for health and the truth. Others will tell you that it will be all right. You'll be fine. I say no, you won't be fine. If the diagnosis goes wrong, you'll become a warrior and you'll do whatever you need in order to get through it. Then and only then will you look back and laugh. What doesn't kill us is supposed to make us stronger. I think that's a lie. What doesn't kill us was too stupid to try in the first place. The good news is that it came back negative. They had their testing. They asked me, how do I handle the testing? I told them to have somebody drive you. If not, cab it there and back, or Uber there and back. And what about when I take the stitches out? Again, cab it there and back. Have somebody drive you because you don't want to try driving. I drove home from my biopsy, for my last one, and by the time I got home, I was in full shock.
Yeah. Pausing.
I wrote this to them because they were complaining about people just God's will, blah 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 blah. Ah.
Yeah, I'm going to pause you there for a second because there's a couple of pieces to get into. Item one, Stephanie had pointed out over here, World War I was when it was named, meaning shell shock. Continuing saying, I would use the term devastated. I can't argue with that. Not in the least. Considering where I was, yeah, I'm willing to call it that. And as
Yeah,
far
your
as
world got turned upside down and then shook and then shook again and then shook again and then shook again.
in my situation, my world was simply shattered.
Mhm,
Same as
believe
my
it.
mind. I'm not saying my brain, my mind. I don't know if I had ever said this on the show before. The day before she passed, we were going to be investigating hospice placement because the treatment that they were hoping on that could have been able to shrink the tumors, the treatment that worked too well, the day before, they were saying that they were going to be investigating hospice because there was nothing else to be done, and that they were expecting that she would have maybe a month left. And she literally went the next night. Early evening, I should call it. And to say that that was devastating is not wrong.
Nope, not wrong at all.
In my own head, it feels like it is not nearly a powerful enough word, but truthfully, I do not know what would be, for my tastes, a powerful enough term for it in the English language. And finally, as far as to, should you have an emotional support stuffy with you? I mean, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, no, this is not my emotional stuffy, but I've got one that stays here in the office with me. Why not?
I've got a room full of stuffies.
Sure. And there are going to be people who are just like, well, why would you go ahead and do something like that? You're a grown-ass adult person. Okay, fine. We want to go that angle? How about this? How about an emotional support PCI SCSI controller? What difference does it make what it is that you have that is your emotional support thing? If you've got it, fine. Who cares? And if you want to go ahead and you want to shame on somebody's comfort item, first off, fuck you. And I say that with all sincerity, because if you want to yuck on somebody's yum because they have stuffed animals to cuddle, who cares? Does it impact your life? No. Cool. Piss off.
Double piss off.
Absolutely.
I have emotional support stuffies. Like I said, I have a room full of them. Why do I have a room full of them? Because every single time he wants to buy me flowers, he buys me a stuffy instead because he knows that I prefer stuffies to flowers.
For any
And if
number of
it's not a,
reasons. Doesn't matter why.
yeah, the main thing is flowers die.
I mean, yeah.
And I can also hand out stuffies as needed if somebody really badly needs to hold a stuffy and it just kind of walks out the door with them. There was a trans woman here a couple years ago for a birthday for a friend of ours, and they walked out the door with one of my stuffies, and I just bought it that week. It was a squishable. They were in a bad place emotionally, and they went around that thing and held it and didn't let go the entire party. It's like, okay, I can go get another one. Okay.
Cool.
Back when I was a teenager, one of the few stories my grandmother, who was a World War II nurse, yes, she was a nurse during that time. She told me that the men that came back from the war, because they didn't have all the fancy drugs that they've got now. You have anxiety attack, you having an emotional breakdown in the hospital, you thrashing and stuff, they'll snow you and make you all nice and calm. Well, back then, all they could do really was just hold on to the men's hands and go, there. It's okay. You're here. There. We don't do that anymore to people. We drug them. You're having an emotional reaction? Well, here, have a drug. You're having an emotional reaction? Here, have a drug. You're depressed? Here, have a drug. This will get you undepressed. But if you stop taking it, it might make you unalive yourself.
Wow.
And yes, language does fail. There is a word to describe somebody who doesn't have a parent, an orphan. There is a word to describe somebody who doesn't have a spouse, widow or widower. There is no word in the English language to describe what it feels like to bury a child, to scatter their child's ashes. They'd be 34 now if they had lived.
And
My mother would be 73, and I went into shock. I knew from reactions to my aunt, my grandfather, and my grandmother dying that I would have a gamut of reactions, and I would actually go into a deep depression for at least a week, if not 2 to 3. And I was right. You know, they give you like 3 or 4 days of bereavement. You need like 6 months or more, maybe even a year.
I went looking up Devastation and Devastated, which took me down Devastation on Wikipedia, because I figured there's probably a listing in there somewhere for the term for various different reasons, and of course there is. But it finally settled me on something called acute stress reaction. And I want to read you just the first sentence of their explanation. Yes, I understand that Wikipedia is not the end-all be-all reference for everything. But my God, is it good when it's right? And it tends to be more right than, the Encyclopedia Britannica. Thank you very much. Because it can be changed on the fly. Acute stress reaction, and I will have the link in the show notes for this. ASR, also known as psychological shock, mental shock, or simply shock, as well as acute stress disorder, ASD, is a psychological response to a terrifying, traumatic, or surprising experience. Right there, in a very succinct manner, it is a very clinical explanation of what it is that's happened. It is not in any way up to the challenge of actually explaining the severity, but if you want to look at a clinical explanation of what it is that you start talking about at that point, I'd say that's fair. So, yeah. It also says a little bit further down, it may be exhibited for days or weeks after the traumatic event. If the condition is not correctly addressed, it may develop into post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Meow?
It could also develop into Takotsubo's Cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. And if the person that you love so dearly, you love, I want to say love too much, but you can't ever love somebody too much. But if it affects your heart, you could just collapse right there too.
There are old romantic stories about people
It's truth.
who've literally
It's
died of a broken heart. It's a true thing.
it's a true thing.
I
It's
know.
probably
Yeah, I was going to say I know somebody who went through something similar and did say, after the fact, sometime after the fact, that they knew that they could have just died. They knew that they could have just literally just stopped themselves, just thought, you know what, I'm done. I will just allow myself to just no longer live anymore. But they chose otherwise because they had people that depended on them. And yeah, they went on. Tough as it was, they went on. And I will never name them directly, but I hope that they understand how helpful it was for me to know that for their life.
I know this one widower who's been a widower for about the same length of time you were, and they are on permanent sleeping pills. If they do not take those sleeping pills, they will not sleep at all. They'll collapse, they'll snore, but they will not actually sleep. Like as somebody who hasn't been through that. What happened? The day that their spouse died was right in front of them. They called 911 right away, and the ambulance was literally a block away. It was returning from a trip. And so they were on the spouse within maybe 5 minutes doing full-on CPR. And they live with this. They have to take a sleeping pill in order to sleep. If they don't, they can't sleep.
Now, we dealt with so much of this setup because like I said before, the language that we have in English is simply subpar to really explain the severity of it. And maybe that's a good thing. Because like I said earlier, if you try to actually understand the severity of it yourself, if you're not going through it, I would not wish anybody to have to try to understand it because of how amazingly devastating it is. I really can't think of a more apt explanation at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll also notice that in all of what we've talked about, and it wasn't even a conscious decision, at no point did we make any kind of religious anything about it all. It was just about people, about our friends, our neighbors. Didn't matter who they were. It was just, this is what's happened to you. This is what happened to them. And at no point for either of us, for literally any of us, would we have said any of the platitudes that we've heard. For me, the worst of them all, the absolute worst, has got to be from those well-meaning, if ill-meaning people, is the platitude of, God doesn't give you something that you can't handle. I do not have nearly enough middle finger to give people for that one.
Oh yes, when somebody has something like that happen to them, I warn them a few things. First off, your feelings are valid no matter what they are. Secondly, there will be people who will tell you stupid things. They're well-meaning, but it's still stupid. And 3, my personal, is what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need? I need my bathroom cleaned up. Okay, I'll go do your bathroom.
Yeah, that is something, again, we cannot stress how incredibly important that is. What do you need? That takes the onus off of the person. You are no longer doing something. You are telling us what do you need? And if what I need is I need somebody to bring in the mail. Okay, I'll do that. What do you need? I need to schedule a doctor's appointment. Okay, done. What do you need? I guess I need, I don't know. Have you eaten? I don't know. Come on, we're going to get food. It is literally the most basic of stuff because you no longer have an anchor. You no longer have your homestone to touch.
Oh, let's send all these flowers and all these platitudes and all these we're sorry thingies. No, don't send that. Send food. Send a bouquet of food. Send a basket of food. Because these people who are in the middle of grieving will have forgotten to eat. Or worse, people are showing up at their house and they have nothing to feed them. Send them food. A couple that I used to know 20 some odd years ago, he was dying, and I sent food, a gift basket of food, to their door, and I told Safeway, treat them with utmost respect. This is a place where the man is dying. They don't expect him to last more than a couple more days. The next time I saw the wife, she hugged me. You sent food. I had stuff to feed my people that were here. Nobody brought foods. You said. And then when she was dying, I didn't send another food basket to her. I sent it to the nurses who were caring for her on the hospice ward. And her daughter bounced up to me and grabbed me and said, "Thank you so much. The nurses, they were miraculous, and we had nothing to give them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Send food. Flowers, die. Food will make sure people are eating, because people forget to eat. In those times of grief, people forget to eat.
Yeah, and you might remember that for, God, I forgot how many years, like 15 years, give or take, I would bring food on the day that, I don't like saying the anniversary of, but in memoriam on the day that my wife passed, I would bring dinner, homemade dinner, to the nurse's station as a thank you to the team. And even when there was only 1 or 2 people that were still left in that wing on that floor that still remembered, yeah, it was worth it. Why did I stop? Because it was unconscionable for me, it was unethical for me to bring in food from the outside once the global virus problem had come up. And that's when I became so incredibly self-aware that, you know what, probably visiting the nurse's station as Joe Average Public in a cancer ward might not be such a great idea.
especially when they're trying to get people out of there because they're filling it up with virus victims.
Yeah. And I even told them early on that I would continue to do this until and unless I couldn't, and it would take something incredibly significant to stop me from doing it. And I held to my word.
The entire time hubby was in the hospital with his quadruple bypass, this was 3 years ago, every single day I showed up, I brought more candies for the nurses. And I just deposited at the nurse's station and took off for his room.
Yeah. Stephanie had also pointed out something over here, and correctly so. The worst part of those religious fools is when they tell a child that their lost parent is safe in heaven and the child tries to get there too. This is a real thing that has happened in the past.
Yep. It wasn't a parent, it wasn't a blood relative, it wasn't anybody like that. Her name was Lulu. I was about 3 or 4, maybe 5 at the most. Found out she had died, and I wasn't allowed at the ceremony or at the burial or at the memorial because I was too young. Yet she was my religious instructor. But she was Lulu. I can still see her in my head, and I wasn't allowed to be there with her to say goodbye. Ah! You know, that's the worst thing to do to children. On the one hand, yeah, you want to try and protect them, but on the other hand, even the youngest ones should be able to say their goodbyes. And also, the youngest ones, the babes in arms, are proof that life goes on. And the older people that suffered the same grief need to see them.
We understand as atheist and atheist adjacent people that there is a want to blunt the trauma, to take away some of the pain, and that one way that people will think works is to hand off part of that trauma. The whole and the whole grief shared is grief halved. It's not true.
Mm,
It's simply not true. It doesn't work out that way. It can help if you're dealing with someone who is worthy of the trust for knowing these things so that they can assist better later. But telling someone God is just giving you a challenge, it's a test, that God can't give you something that you can't get through. Because the easiest answer to that is, then why do this to someone who couldn't get through it? Why give someone cancer? Why take away a child's parent? Why put the person that went through cancer treatment, for instance, through 2 years of radiation therapy and chemotherapy, where you are literally infusing the body with poisons in the hope of making the body toxic enough to kill off whatever the infection is? I use the word incorrectly here, forgive me, infection of cancer, but not enough to actually kill off the rest of the body.
you're talking specifically about the religious quote about God not giving you more than what you can handle, Well, for some reason, God really likes to heap it on people. Oh, but you're God's chosen if you've got all of those challenges. God must really love you. Fuck God.
Or
And
minimally, fuck your God.
yeah, fuck your God. Um, Spider Robinson has a quote: shared pain is lessened, shared joy is increased, thus we refute entropy. That's different.
Yes.
A group getting together to mourn, to cry together, to allow the main people that are actually mourning the chance to mourn and to share that it lessens it. The burden is lessened. All those people together share that burden.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you get the people together for a party. Rock on, dude.
An Irish wake.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh,
I think I may have mentioned about this, but as a thing with this, when my paternal grandmother passed, and we were still young, and one of my cousins came over to my brothers and I. Again, we're still kind of young. Came over and said, "Hey, I know what it is that made Grandma's meatballs so great." Oh, I almost used his name. What was it? Grandma Hand Sweat. We're in the church, and he whispered this to us. He came over to whisper it to us, and then got away. In the middle of church. And now here are a couple of kids who are trying desperately not to start laughing.
and it's the truth. It is the truth.
Kinda, yeah. Now,
Oh,
I'm saying this, reminding folks that Roman Catholic. My family was Roman Catholic. I mean, come on, we're Italians from from Brooklyn. Not exactly off the boat from Italy, but practically so. So yeah, imagine that, Roman Catholics. If ever there was a more robotic group for religion, I'm hard pressed to think of one. But yeah. Stephanie's asking, would they cut off a limb to copy and assist someone who has lost a limb? It's a good question.
my younger maternal blood uncle came up to me when we had buried my mother. And he asked me if I knew of any of the family recipes. I pointed at the coffin and said, "That's where they are." And he looked at me and it's like the look on his face of, "Damn it." There's one other place that they might still exist in the family that's either with his ex-wife or with their only surviving sister. Other than that, all the family recipes were gone. But just the thought of your grandmother making those meatballs, yeah, palm sweat.
Oh no.
What? Who died?
There was, I don't know that it still exists anymore. It might not. There was a website, whywon'tgodhealamputees.com.
Oh, yes, that one.
I tried to get to it. It doesn't seem to be up and running anymore. Well, damn it. You know what? I will add that to the show notes anyway, with the notation that the domain very likely doesn't exist anymore, because the question's still a valid one.
I think Penn Gillette actually answered that. Basically, God is a dick.
Yeah. or
My gra-
very, very minimally the Abrahamic God. Minimally. I mean, come on.
my
We've also got Zeus, who was an absolute raging asshole.
my maternal grandfather died when I was 18. I did the math today. I don't know why I was doing the math today, but I've been alive 3 times longer than I ever knew him. So the first 18 years, and then at least 2 more without him. When he died, I was 18, trying to get away from my mother. When I finally showed up at her house again, she got into my face and screamed at me about how horrid of a child I was because I wasn't at the funeral or anything. And I just stood there and took it. Then a couple years later, she did the same thing about her sister, and I just stood there and took it. Yeah, my mother was the eldest of 5 kids, 3 girls and 2 boys, and the boys were the next 2. And when she died, she left a whole bunch of booby traps for me to run into. Every single person that talked to me, that knew her and knew me, said the same thing, that my mother loved me. Except for one small thing. If she loved me, why wasn't I in her will? Why didn't she provide for me?
I just looked it up, by the way.
So
For
that's another thing. Make a will. Make make sure that every single one of your children and every single person that you care for or care about is named in it, one way or the other.
yeah, I had looked it up from the date that I first met she who would become my wife. Because yes, I know what day that was. I remember part of what I wore. I remember how we first saw each other and how we actually met. And I've talked about that on many an occasion and told those stories. From the time that we first met until her passing, 16 years, 8 months, and 16 days. And now it's over 20 years since she's gone. You know, it's hard for me to kind of put that into perspective that it's now, it's more than, but it's longer since she's gone than I was with her at all.
Yeah, when that realization of whoever it was that you knew, that you have continued on longer than you knew them, it kind of hits.
Yeah.
My maternal grandmother died when I was 34 weeks or 35 weeks pregnant at 34. That's right. And I was told I was not family. How dare I do anything for the funeral? I kind of looked at my big belly and said to myself, I can't travel. I can't fly there. I can't travel. I fly there, I'm stuck there till I have the kid. Then maybe I can come back.
Yeah.
Um, my paternal grandfather died December of 2014, but I only knew him for a couple of weeks. Knew of him, but only knew him for a couple of weeks because I've got no real family on my paternal side. I don't really know them. And my paternal grandmother died last year. I would have really appreciated if somebody on that side of the family had told me. Like, gee, thanks.
And I don't know that you saw it. Stephanie was chiming in. With love like that, who needs hate, IO?
Yeah. Yeah, that my mother's side of the family hates me. My father's side of the family realizes that I am the mistake that their eldest surviving son made. My father was number 2 of 9, and his brother died in his early 20s. Yes, cancer.
Yeah. We're getting really close on to that hour and a half point, so we'll just make a real quick run of just a one important piece of the whole damn thing.
Platitudes suck.
Yeah.
Send food, not flowers.
Well, you know what? Just pause a second. Platitudes suck. I think it's fair for us to just chime in and remind people that exactly that. And whether you're well-meaning or not, religious platitudes are beyond useless. They're worse than useless. They can, and usually will, actually cause additional harm. Don't do it. I mean, God wanted to bring another angel into heaven. Cool. Can God make angels all out of nothing? Then why did he need my whomever? Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Child doesn't need to live through, years of surgeries and chemo and treatments and surgeries and operations and donated organs before they've had an opportunity to learn how to spit.
Oh boy, my ex-mother-in-law, she never actually became my mother-in-law because she was gone before we got together and had children or married. But my ex-mother-in-law, fuck cancer, colon cancer got her. And she had chemo on Thursday, and she died on Sunday. And the nurses were doing the vulturic circle of, can we take her organs? Can we take her organs? Can we take her organs?
I understand the want to help as many as possible. I get that. From the standpoint of somebody who is working in the medical industry, I hate to use the term, but in this case it's apt, to try to help as many people as possible. I get that. But my word, is that just...
Vulture.
If any family, if anyone not of the profession overheard stuff like that, the level of insensitivity doesn't even score on the chart. It's so far beyond.
What I was told was that the nurses were circling and trying to find out if the family was interested in organ harvesting and donation. The family said yes, even though they were Jehovah's Witnesses, or at least she was a Jehovah's Witness. Her body wasn't needed anymore, so, she was lapsed or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. None of her children were Jehovah's Witnesses. Anyway, they said yes. The family said yes because organ donation was the thing that they wanted. But then the nurses went, oh, she had chemo on blah day. Her organs aren't viable. Like, you mother... You asked the family to donate the organs, and they said yes. Then you went to check to see whether the organs were viable? You shouldn't have even asked in the first place.
Yeah. It's tough man.
Organ donation has a place. Organ donation, yes, go ahead, do it if you choose to. It saves lives. But I swear the donation team is like vultures.
I have a thing that I want to end up closing with, so I'm gonna hold off on that for just a couple of seconds. Over on the chat, Stephanie also reminding, send food, listen, especially to the good times they remember. Just be there. Yeah, and I've told people before who are potentially looking at end stages, bring a recording device. Talk. Get the stories, get the anecdotes, get their voices. Not so that it, and by the way, don't do it so that you can feed it into an AI model. Please don't freaking do that. Have a memorial that you can hold on to, the stories that maybe you've heard them 1,000 times. Did I ever tell you about the time? Yeah, but do it again. Keep them in some part of their personality alive that way. So yeah, thank you. Lexa also saying, Anna said earlier, ask what do you need. Also seconding that, and fuck cancer, as well as get everything in writing that'll also stand up to legal challenges so things are easier on loved ones. Yeah, that'd be nice. Do a video recording for yourself and set it on a delayed posting thing on YouTube, and an alarm for yourself to keep pushing that delayed further and further out as a dead man's thing, if you will. Consider that. And Stephanie
I've asked my husband to do a recording like that so he can say goodbye to his fans and the people that listen to his words on Sunday nights. And he's thinking about it, and I've told him exactly the reason why, so that he can say goodbye. And yes, I see that Stephanie says that in the UK, that you had cancer takes your organs off the donation list because of the risks that they could introduce cancer to the patient. I don't know what the limits are for organ donation in Canada. I just remember what my ex-brother-in-laws and ex-sister-in-law, as well as ex-husband, all told me. That they were circling like vultures. And that's their words, not mine.
There was a commercial that was recorded back in the, I forget, when was it? I don't remember when it was that he recorded it, but it was played on TV, at least for a little while, and he apparently recorded it sometime in the late 60s, very likely. It was an ad that said, "If you see this message, I am dead. Please don't smoke."
That one, yes.
That was Yul Brynner.
There was a similar message in the community. The pig with the crown that walks across in the movie was an actual Minecrafter. I forget his name. Please don't kill me.
I don't remember who it was either, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
His father started the video and saying, this is my son's recording. And his son's voice came up, and it was, "If you're listening to this, I'm gone." And it was a great thank you. And my husband's of an age where he should do that. I'm probably of an age where I should do it too, because I've had a couple of medical things slap me.
Yeah.
Send a recording to your lawyer. Put the recording someplace that says play after my death. Just somewhere.
Yeah. Is there any last that you want to do? Because like I said, we're about to the point where I'm just like, you know what, it's pretty well covered.
I'm kind of upset with myself because a month ago, I was thinking about going to visit my friend's wife after D&D, and the person that was driving us, I freaked out in his car. I didn't do the "Ah!" But I had the panic attack of, "I don't trust this driver. I don't trust this driver. I don't trust this driver." So I didn't go. I will regret that for the rest of my life. If you have somebody that you want to go see that you haven't seen in forever, go see them. And if you can't go see them, call them. Video call them. And when somebody goes, don't send the flowers, send food, and ask, "What do you need?" If somebody has the C word or some other devastating illness that's going to destroy them, again, "What do you need?" And yes, emotional support stuffies are valid. They're also way cheap on the pet food.
It's true. But please don't send somebody a pet rock. Just don't.
But it sits. It lays there.
Yes, but at least with a stuffy, you know full well it's going to listen to you. With a pet rock, it's just going to sit there like a rock.
Actually,
Nobody needs that.
it depends on the person. If the person is like me and loves rocks, go ahead. Send me a rock, especially a really pretty crystal type rock. I like crystals. I like pretty crystals. Ooh.
Crystals. I don't want to. There's some people that know what that is, and don't worry about it.
Handing somebody a rock is like or something small that that they like is called a penguin pebble. Because when penguins like each other, the guy penguin hands the girl penguin a rock. Just a pebble.
There's that.
Yeah.
There is yeah, I'm gonna have to find that song. There's a very specific rock song I want to try to find. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I don't have the time to do that right now.
My closing out song right now is Alex Warren's Eternity. Because of the lyric about becoming somebody that you don't know. And it's specifically about his dad's passing away, and it's a perfect song to play at memorials.
That's fair. There's two things that I want to finish off with. One, for those of you who are in the same position as I, where you have to deal with this, there are things that you will be doing on autopilot for quite a long time. Just no two ways about it. There is nothing wrong with taking your time in trying to figure out what it is that you're going to do. For some pieces, you can handle them quickly. For others, you probably want to take a little bit of time. Take your time anyway. Find someone that you know that you can trust and have them help you. And for those of you that are going to find out that you are going to be that person that is going to be on your way, maybe you have late stage something that you know full well your time is limited. There's no way of knowing until we're there what we would think for ourselves in that situation. There were moments where we were pretty normal. There were other times where there was a lot of emotional release. Just know that there are people who will be looking to try to help, and they're going to get it wrong. They're going to try. They're going to get it wrong. I'm not saying that you should make excuses for people who want to help and don't know how to do it right. There is no right. There is just what helps. And if there is something that does not help, you say that. I don't want that. That's not what's going to help me. Don't do that again. Even if it's a matter of somebody saying something, that they want to pray for you, they want to pray with you, they want to give you a rosary, they want to give you a dream catcher, they want to give you who only knows what. But if it's not something, if it's something that very specifically does not align with your way, what you want, there is nothing at all wrong with saying no. Even if that means saying, I don't want that nurse dealing with me again. There are times where some nurses, they're not a good fit for a particular patient. Could be for almost any reason. And sometimes it comes down to because they want to use religious platitudes. Hell, my wife actually had one nurse who said, look, if the THC pills aren't doing it well enough for you to offset the chemo feelings, I can get you the real thing if you want. Medical marijuana was not a thing at the time here in New York State. So this nurse was putting potentially career ahead of the law. He was a good guy. I do not say this lightly. And I say this to all of you. We love you. We want good for you. And we know for some of you that's just not going to be the way it's going to end up. I'm sorry for that. We are sorry for that.
We are sorry for that.
And for those of you who have to pick up the pieces after, those of you that feel that there is just simply no way of coming back from it, you're right. There is no coming back. There's just forward. There's no way to know exactly what that's going to look like. Look at me. I'm a goddamn mess. But I still try. A little bit here, a little bit there. I still try. I have my little things that I can do. Not everything. But if you need, there are folks that'll help to some degree. And we'll do our best to try to help you if we can. To whatever degree we can. You will never be alone. That I give you my word on. We'll call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We appreciate you being here. Sorry this has turned out the way that it has exactly, but it's worthwhile. And we hope that you have got something worth thinking about for the week. 2 weeks ahead. Next week, as I may have properly mentioned, I'm going to be taking the weekend off because I've got an event. So we will be seeing you minimally 2 weeks at this point. There's stuff, of course, going on, but I'll fill you in a little bit later on that. As always, over there in the chat, thank you, Stephanie, Lexa, Black. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. You take care of yourselves, and yeah, we'll be in touch. Not to worry, we'll be in touch with you. Io, thank you.
It takes a lot of strength to find the threads to reweave your life. And for some people, they never stop. I can see you literally reaching for that one thread, and it's never there.
I try. I don't exactly succeed all the time, but I try. Anybody that knew me as a kid would know I'm too stubborn to give up. That much is true. Thank you ever so much. You have yourself a good couple of weeks, and just thank you and good luck.
Do you need me for Friday, or are we canceling Friday?
Friday is good.
Okay.
I'm going to be trying very desperately to put my own computer back together so that I can run DJing for back again.
Percussive maintenance always works.
Yeah, except when it doesn't. We will see. But still, thank you. If you'd like to be in touch with us, the best way, and arguably the only way in soon due course, is probably going to be on socials. BlueSky and Discord are arguably the best locations. I let IO know that I did put in the paperwork, such as it is, even electronic that it might be, to terminate the holycrapthevlogcast.com domain hosting and registration. It's done its job, and unfortunately it's not necessary any longer. And truth be told, it's money I could use myself back. I've done enough with it. I ain't setting any records for podcast audience. So I think it's fair to let that go and just let us exist still on YouTube, because that's, I'm not going to say good enough, but you know where I am at this point, I think. So if you need to be in touch with us, links for the socials are available in the show notes, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks. So in the meantime, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. May Luna watch over you all. And as a reminder of how far along I've come, I no longer say it on the regular, but I still believe every word of this. If I thought for an instant it would change anything, I would become the harbinger of pain and the destroyer of civilizations. If I thought for one instant it would change anything, I would become worse than Hitler and make him look like a failed Girl Scout and never look back in regret. If I thought it could change anything for just an instant. But I know it won't. And I know I can't. so I move forward. And as I mentioned earlier, on its 20 years, I am still in love. Today, Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good night.